Morning. Good morning. Today, I want to talk about can you actually recognize themes in play therapy? There was a study that was conducted back in 2021. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about that and its relevance to play therapists. And as a play therapist, I always like to stay up to date on what's going on in the play therapy arena and make sure that what I'm talking about at least is relevant to what we're finding out from research. And one of the things that I've found over the last 15 years supervising play therapists or child and adolescent therapists who want to learn play therapy, and I struggled with it myself. I think it's part of the learning process to recognize themes and understand what themes mean and use my clinical decision making about what to do with these themes. So several years ago I started to wonder about themes and how do you really recognize themes and where did this come from? And so recently, when I was thinking about some topics for this weekly live stream, I thought, oh, themes. That's something all play therapists want to learn about. It's something we all struggle with. And in Play Therapy Academy, this is something that we work on week after week after week. We look at themes within the context of a theoretical model in the play therapy session. We use the time to take a look at specifically what we're seeing in the play therapy sessions that will support the play therapy themes that we've assessed. And so I thought to myself, well, I wonder where these themes come from. And this was, again, recently thinking about themes and thinking to myself, well, we go to trainings and we hear that themes are a thing, and how do we really know? I remember once hearing hearing a judge. This was some court testimony being given by a play therapist, and a play therapist was describing what play behaviors she had seen in the play therapy sessions that supported her clinical assessment of the skills. And I remember it was a custody case, and I remember hearing the judge say, "Well, my kids play that way, so how does that mean what you're saying?" Essentially, that's my paraphrase. And I remember thinking, well, if you're not a play therapist, that's an excellent question. And as a play therapist, it's still an excellent question. So where do we get this idea of themes and play and what they actually mean and do they even really show up in the playroom? So that's where I began I call it going down my research rabbit hole. Take a deep dive into what the research says and then I kind of come up with what I find. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about a research article that I found that that assessed whether or not play themes can be assessed in play therapy sessions using a standardized tool. And in my mind, if you can assess themes in play therapy sessions using a standardized tool, then that meant, well, they probably do exist. And then how do we make sense of those? And is that grounded in anything? And so that's what I want to talk about today. There was an article I posted. The article, it was a research article. It was called Can Children's Play Themes Be Assessed to Inform Play Therapy Practice? And this was a research article that was done by Bridget Sarah, Judy Parson, Kate Renshaw, and Karen Stagnetti, and out of the Deakin University in Australia. And it was published in the Clinical Child Psychology and Psychiatry Journal back in 2021. So let's get started for today. If you're here, I would love to see who's here joining us live. Post your name in the comments, where you're from, what population you have, what are your questions about themes, and what are your thoughts about recognizing themes in the playroom. And if you're watching on the replay, welcome. And I would love, go ahead and post your name in the comments if you're watching the replays. I would love to see who's watching the replays, where you're from, what population you work with, what questions you have about recognizing themes. So we have Carla from Mexico joining me on Instagram, and Sherry, I can see you joining me as well. So let's get started. So first, we have good morning, staff, your faithful followers here. Welcome. I was just starting to wonder where you were, Steph. All right, so let's get started for today. This is a really important topic in play therapy. And one of the things I really feel like this is something we really need to be talking about. I remember a while back, I was supervising a child and adolescent therapist, or not, I was doing some consultation. Somebody had called me and was asking me a question, and this was not somebody trained in play therapy. And I was trying to kind of plant some seeds about, really is worth the investment to get trained in play therapy and make sure you know what you're doing in play therapy. I was trying not to be rude. And I'm passionate about making sure that if we're using play therapy, that we're grounded in it. And one of the reasons I'm so passionate about it is because way back in the day, I had been introduced to play therapy in the 80s when I was a special education teacher. And that was one of the catalysts for me getting out of special education and getting into counseling. And I remember not being once I got my master's degree and got started in the field, I found it really difficult to get play therapy training. And so I was doing it without being trained. And let me tell you, the difference between being trained and not being trained is ginormous. And so now I really do recognize the difference in skill and competency when we're not trained, which is one of the reasons I developed Play Therapy Academy, which is my online consultation and training program to teach child and adolescent therapists how to use play therapy. So I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, as well as some trainings that I have. But for now, one of the things that I recognize, so I'm having this conversation, and this person is working with a young child and not trained in play therapy. And she says, "Oh, well, I'll just get some toys out and they'll just play and I'll figure it out." And in my head, I went tilt in my head. I was like, "Oh, that's a bad idea. No, no, no." And I managed to eke out a respectful, well, here's why you want to do it this way. And, you really need to be trained. So what that highlights for me is really understanding the need to be trained in a theoretical model that determines how you help your client access those therapeutic powers of play and how you make sense of and define the problem, which will then be related to how you are assessing and understanding the themes that are showing up in the playroom. So first and foremost, what are play therapy themes? So play therapy themes are essentially the way in which children use the play therapy process to work through what's going on And these are the themes that show up in the playroom through their play behaviors, what they say, what they do, that give you an understanding of the clinical issues that they're working through. So, just like in grown up therapy, we use talking to get a sense of, we're trained to listen to what's being communicated in the session through the words. In play therapy, we learn to observe and listen and tune in to what's being communicated through children's play. So these are play therapy themes can be expressed through behavior and emotions in the playroom. And it's essentially what the children are working through regarding their social and emotional and psychological issues that they're struggling with. These will show up in the play because children use play to communicate what's going on. They use play to kind of explore and make sense of things in their lives, try out new things, learn new skills. So let me check in. We have a few more comments. Quite a few people checked in. Jamie Spence from Reno. Hey, Jamie. Welcome. Oh, Jasmine. Sorry, I pronounced. I was getting two people at one time. So we have Jamie Smith from Lakeland and Jasmine Spence from Reno. Welcome. Welcome, Jasmine. It was nice meeting you at the I met Jasmine at the Association for Play Therapy conference a couple weeks ago. So it was really nice meeting you. And welcome. So we have Megan Mitchell from Washington, D.C. Curious how we can discuss themes with parents. That is such a good point. And welcome. So I live in Southern Nevada now, but I am from the Washington, D.C. area most of my life. I lived out there in Prince William County in Virginia, if you know where that is. So we have Carmen Smith from Central Florida, student intern learning all the things. Welcome. Good for you. I work with children and getting trained in play therapy. That is awesome, Carmen. Welcome. And then we have, I am going to apologize because I'm probably not going to pronounce your name right. I think it's important to make sure we learn how to say people's names. I'm going to say Slajana Perick from London, UK. And then Jasmine says, what is the best way to describe the interpretation of themes to parents and how to document those themes in notes? Okay, so Jasmine, that is one of the reasons I went down this rabbit hole to begin with play therapy themes, which is I'm in the process of creating a new course, the next course in my Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Excellence series. And that is, I'm hoping not hoping, this course will be out by mid-December. And one of the things that's important is being able to be proficient, understanding and recognizing play therapy themes, because we can use them in our progress notes. In fact, I think they're an important part of our progress note writing. So that is an excellent question. And discussing themes with parents is important as well. So those are great points. So the next thing is, so now we know what are play therapy themes. So why do they matter? What's the big deal about play therapy themes as a play therapist providing play therapy? Well, the reason that it's important to really understand play therapy themes is because as a play therapist, we're going to be using those play therapy themes to help us understand what children are working through, what they're trying to make sense of, what skills they're trying to develop, their sense of self, who they are, how are they making sense of what's going on in their lives and how it's impacting them. And so, as a trained play therapist, we're trained to look for these themes. And the themes that we identify are going to be heavily influenced by the play therapy model, that theoretical model that we're using to understand and help children throughout the change process get through all of the stages of change. To do that, themes will oftentimes give us a sense of where our clients are in the change process. So, why am I saying oftentimes? Because the reality is they do. Sometimes we don't always know exactly what they're working through. What? I said that out loud. Yep. There's a thing that we say in play therapy, and it's trust the process. I don't know how many of you have heard that when you're getting trained in play therapy, trust the process. I remember my supervisor saying that to me. I remembered going to trainings early on in my play therapy skill development, hearing trust the process. And to be honest, it got me through those awkward stages of learning. And even now, sometimes I don't always know in the moment what my clients are working through. And sometimes it might take me a session or two or three, even to really get a pretty good sense of what's going on in the playroom. So we do need to trust the process. And what does that mean? Trust the process means that we are going to rely on our theoretical model in play therapy that's going to help our child clients access those therapeutic powers of play. And I'm going to trust that as I hold that therapeutic space within a strong therapeutic relationship, and I'm going to use the model as the model is intended to be used, that my client is going to be able to access and work through whatever it is that they need to work through. My role in that is to hold that space and to do my best efforts to apply the theoretical model and then trust that process. And through that, I'm going to be recognizing what my clients are communicating in the play therapy session through their themes. And I use that information to, one, help me get a sense of what they're working on. Two, help me know where they are in the change process based on my theoretical model. And the themes, so one of the things that we can do with themes is it gives us a sense of where clients are in the play therapy process. And hopefully you are having dedicated time where you are meeting with parents intentionally in a session, not, I call them the 5-minute drive-bys, like going to the fast food drive-through line. I really don't find those to be those, I'm check-ins at the end of the play therapy session. I'm not a huge fan of those. I've learned from experience that those really aren't the most effective way to engage parents and have conversations about how their client is doing. I don't find it helpful to have those email conversations in between sessions. Phone calls really do take up a lot of time. And to me, it's the makings of burnout for play therapists. So having those intentional scheduled times where you're meeting with parents, this is where you're going to explain that. And so you can use that to kind of communicate to parents how their child is doing. I don't necessarily think you need to go into the themes. Parents really want to know more about how you think their child is doing and talk about that and how that is kind of showing up in their everyday lives. So if you do it that way, it's been my experience that that's really what parents want to know more about. So let me get into the research for today that I wanted to talk about. So that's really, what are play therapy themes? Why do they matter? And how can this research be useful to us? So this was a research article. This was a research project that was done, and the article was published in 2021. And what the researchers were looking at is examining if play therapy themes could be identified using standardized assessment. And the assessment tool that they were using is called the Child Initiated Pretend Play Assessment, or CHIPA. And this play therapy assessment, pretend play assessment, measures and scores three aspects of children's pretend play. It measures and scores elaborateness of the play, use of symbols in play, and assesses if the child can self-initiate play ideas. And in this research, the population they conducted the research with was 30 typically developing children between the ages of 5 and 7 years old in Australia. And they were observed using this assessment tool for 30-minute play sessions. And what they found is that 26 of the 30 typically developing children were able to demonstrate play themes. And so they used a model to identify themes based on a previous project that was done by Wilson and Ryan back in 2005. And Wilson and Ryan identified themes in children's play based on Erik Erikson's stages of psychosocial development. And I'm going to read a quote. They chose Erikson's model as it provides the best general overview of social and emotional development, assuming that each stage of social emotional development has precursors to other stages of development, and that this is sufficiently complex and broad enough to encompass typical development, yet allow for deviations and arrests. So what they used these themes identified by Wilson and Ryan to assess if play themes showed up for children. And they determined that for 26 of the 30 children, that there were identified themes showing up in the playroom. And an interesting thing, I think it's interesting anyway, 4 of the 30 children who were typically developing, assessed to be typically developing, did not demonstrate themes. And so they took a little closer look at that. What they hypothesized was, for these 4 children, they weren't able to initiate pretend play. So I know sometimes we think about in the playroom, our clients, are they actually demonstrating themes in here? Is something going on in here? And what this research tells us is that themes do show up in the playroom. Children do demonstrate themes in the playroom. And if we're not necessarily seeing any themes, maybe one of the things that we want to look at and explore a little further is, what's the reason they may not be developing themes? And one of the things that this research kind of shows is that not all children can self-initiate pretend play. And so that might be something to look at, what's going on with that client, to better understand them and know how to help them with whatever struggles that they're experiencing at the time. So that is it for today. And let me just do a quick recap for play therapy themes. First, what are play therapy themes? They're essentially how children use play to understand what's going on in their lives, to make sense of things that are happening to them, explore their world, try out new skills. And in play therapy, children access the therapeutic aspects of play for healing. And themes are a way that children demonstrate through behavior, statements made, emotions manifested, their interactions with the toys, their interactions with you, kind of give a sense of what exactly are they working through? What exactly are they trying to make sense of? What exactly are they exploring? What skills are they trying out so that they can heal? And play therapists use this information to get a sense of what is going on with your client and where they are in the change process based on your theoretical model. So it gives us really good information once we're trained to know what to look for and get a sense of what it means. And again, one of the things that we're always keeping in mind as trained play therapists is we're looking at themes over time from session to session to session to session. We don't really look at one thing in one session and decide, oh, eureka, I've solved the mystery. While it might give you a good idea of what they're working on in that particular moment, one of the things that will demonstrate more support with that is how you see that over time, how you see that change over time, hopefully change, how children work through whatever it is that they're needing to work through and make sense of. So identifying play behaviors is actually a core competency, play themes and play behaviors to understand how children are using the therapeutic powers of play for healing. And in my mind, this is where consultation or supervision is key, in addition to getting good training, is because you want to be able to, like in Play Therapy Academy, I'm always encouraging the therapists in Play Therapy Academy to use video. With permission, they need the permission from parents and guardians. The videos are the best way to really learn in real time what's going on. And in Play Therapy Academy, you have my 30 years experience working with children, adolescents, and families, but you also have the collective brilliance, I say, that's what I call it, of the other members of the group. And that can help you really hone your skill on not only using play therapy model, also learning how to recognize themes and using a model in order to recognize those themes. And so when we're understanding themes, I think it's our understanding play therapy. And in this case, we're talking about play themes. I always like to go back and look at what the research is telling us to have that kind of inform our practice of play therapy, as well as help us understand how children are using play therapy to help them heal. And in this research, that was done back in 2021, it does help us understand that, yes, children do demonstrate themes in their play. And in this case, with this particular research study, they looked at 30 children, and 26 out of the 30 using that standardized assessment were able to recognize that these children were demonstrating themes in their play. And of the 30, 4 children did not demonstrate themes as assessed by this tool, the CHIPA, Child Initiated Pretend Play Assessment. And so what they hypothesized was these children that did not demonstrate themes were not able to self-initiate pretend play, which is another thing we want to make sure to look at in the playroom. And it is interesting to know that there are tools out there that we can be trained in that can give us a sense of what themes are being demonstrated in the play session. They used a specific model to recognize the themes, and that was themes developed and identified by Wilson and Ray. So if you're interested in that research article, I posted the citation for the article in the description for this episode, so you can go and check it out for yourself and see what other nuggets of gold you can glean from that research. So let me just tell you a little bit about Play Therapy Academy. If you're interested, if you're a play therapist or you're a child and adolescent therapist and you have been wanting to learn play therapy, then Play Therapy Academy is an online program. We have twice monthly online group consultation meetings. We have case presentations, so you get dedicated time to present your cases, and you can learn from each other when others are presenting. So you get your own dedicated time, as well as the ability to learn from others and what they're presenting. And then in addition to the play therapy consultation meetings twice a month, we also have courses available in your account, your platform. So there are several courses in there. Get from the Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Excellence series, Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Foundations, Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Case Conceptualization, Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Treatment Planning, and the next one coming out that'll be available in the Play Therapy Academy is Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Progress Notes, and then there'll be some other ones after that. For those of you who don't really need, let me tell you where you can find that actually. So if you're interested in Play Therapy Academy, there'll be some, and you can look in the comments. There'll be links to my website where you can check out more information. If you're interested and you want to schedule a free 30-minute video to see how Play Therapy Academy can help you, I have a few openings left. I have one opening left in my Saturday group and 3 openings left in my Wednesday group. So those are going to fill up fast. If you're interested, you probably want to go ahead and schedule a free 30-minute video with me. That will be in the comments, or you can hop over to my website at rhplaytherapytraining.com. If you're interested in Play Therapy Academy, check on the supervision page. If maybe you don't need the Play Therapy Academy because you're already getting supervision, but maybe you're interested in some of the courses. I have several courses available that you can just get those. I have Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Treatment Planning, Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Case Conceptualization, Getting Grounded in Play Therapy Foundations. All of those, you can find those over on my website. They're self-paced. You take them in your time zone when it's convenient for your schedule. There are video recorded modules and worksheets and workbooks in there to kind of help you apply the skills that you're learning. So let me just take one more look at the comments. So we have Facebook user also interning. I work with child clients with school and with students in school. I'm also training in play therapy. I live in Long Island, New York. Well, welcome. It's always exciting to see more and more people getting trained in play therapy. I really do think that play therapy has come a long way and now is really recognized as the go-to modality to help children heal. So that is it for this week, and I will see you next time. Bye.